Hi guys, OldRadioAl here. I was asked by a subscriber, and after he asked, several others commented, yeah, they want to see this too. To go over what it is I look for when I'm buying a radio. You know, what do you avoid? What do you, what's a good buy? What's not a good buy? So I thought we'd start by looking at an unrestored radio. This is one that just came my way, not yet restored. This is the other item that I told you about that Bobby sent to me along with the signal generator. This is a Lear radio, which he and I seem to have kind of an interest in. Bobby's got a Lear, I've got one also. Now I've got two. Very nice of him. Bobby Tectalabyss. And Bobby apparently has a good eye for radios. And let me tell you why I think that is. The first thing that I look at is the completeness of a radio. Not does it work, not even really. I mean, obviously you want one that appeals to your eye, one that you like the looks of, which I do. I like the looks of this one. I like this grill work. By completeness, what I mean is what condition is the cabinet in? Is the cabinet, and I'm going to use a flashlight quite a bit in this, because when I go out and look for a radio, when I go to a flea market or antique store or whatever, I have a little pocket flashlight with me, and I really go over the cabinets. I look at them. You look at a cabinet and you say, what kind of condition is the veneer on the cabinet? Or is there a lot of, are there chunks missing out of it? Is there a separation? The base of the radio, does that look, is it all chipped up, or does it look pretty good? In this case, this cabinet looks really nice. This is going to be an easy cabinet to refinish. I mean, I don't think I'll have to refinish this. I think I can use like the Howard Restore-A-Finish product and maybe some Old English scratch cover, and this thing is going to look really great. Next thing you look at is are all the knobs there? In this case, yep, they are. Knobs for some radios are very easy to find, either the original knobs or reproductions. In the case of a Lear radio, not many of these were made. So if it didn't have the knobs, you'd be hard pressed. You'd end up probably finding some knobs that would fit, but they wouldn't be the right knobs. In this case, I've got the knobs that go with this radio. Grill cloth is something that I like it to be the right grill cloth, but there are so many different types of fabric that you can use for grill cloth that you can find something that suits you. Next thing you absolutely need is a fairly complete chassis. In this case, all the tubes are there. Well, tubes are readily available, but more to the point, this radio uses a loop antenna. If that antenna was gone, then it makes things a little more difficult. So I'd probably, you know, if that antenna wasn't on this radio and I were looking at it in a store, I'd probably pass on that. Everything else looks pretty much there, you know, everything is complete. Next thing I always look at, because I just do not like restringing. You know, once in a while you have to do it, but I don't like restringing. You know, that's why unless I have to, I don't take the tuning capacitor off the chassis, because I don't like restringing these things. So I always look, you know, is this dial string there, and does the tuning seem to work from end to end? In this case, yep, it does. You also want to look at the dial glass. Is the dial, you know, is that dial glass reproductions are pretty easy to find, but the dial face itself, is that there? Or, you know, if it was, you know, some of them have over the years what am I trying to say? The dial scale itself is messed up. You know, it's been scratched off the glass or whatever. In the case of this Lear, this one is a very simple. Lear, my other Lear radio is the same way. They seem to not put too much into their dial scales. They're very simple. Where with another radio, you know, some of them are very elaborate, and if it's not in good condition, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to mess with that. This is really the first time I've taken a real look at this radio, by the way, and just noticed it doesn't have a tuning capacitor. This uses a slug. It's a slug tuning. Cool. Very common in early FM sets, not as common in AM sets. So that's the kind of thing I look at, you know, how complete the radio is. For someone just getting into this hobby, you know, it can be a very daunting task if you have, you know, major damage to the cabinet. You know, restringing a dial is not the easiest thing. I have a restringing guide, by the way, that covers almost every model of radio you can think of. Really helps on a CD. So that's the kind of thing that I like to see in a radio. The completeness. Now, probably the most common way that people buy vintage radios now is here, eBay. Can be a great way to buy radios. It's very convenient, sitting in your home and you know, going through the thousands of radios that are listed on eBay, and there are thousands. Here you go, there's 1,300 results just for tube radio Philco. I just narrowed my search to Philco radios. So there are a lot of choices out there, and you know, it's caveat emptor, and let the buyer beware, because you're just not in the position of putting your hands on, like we just did with that Lear, of taking a you know, the eyes-on approach. So then a lot of other factors, you know, play into it. Like here's a nice looking console, 1938. One of the most overused terms on Philco, Art Deco. On Philco, on eBay, Art Deco. The overused terms on with vintage radios on Philco, I got Philco on the brain, on eBay are Art Deco, Jetsons, Eames. You know, they use those as tags for, you know, when you search, but they don't always really apply. You know, you like a little truth in advertising. nice little transitone 1940s 50s flying wedge wood case radio, model 49506. Well, they got the model number right, but how much do they really know about radios? They say it's a 1940s and 50s flying wedge. Well, Philco, it's easy. 49506, that's a 49 model year. And I know that very well because kind of one sitting right there. And here's a classic. Vintage Art Deco case for Philco, True Tone, Emerson, Stromberg. Well, which one is it? They don't know. The seller doesn't know because that's just a cabinet. But right away, you know, look at it. You know, look at the veneer damage to that cabinet. You know, you're, in this case, you're just buying a cabinet. Why would you buy, if you're looking for a cabinet for a chassis you got, unless you're really desperate, why would you buy a cabinet that has that kind of veneer damage? Not me. Here's a nice looking, looks nice, doesn't it? A 42 350. And it looks like the cabinet's in pretty decent shape. Problem with this radio is no knobs. Now, are reproduction knobs available, or knobs that will work with this? Probably, but if you're looking for reproduction knobs and you're buying 4 knobs, you're probably paying an additional $50 just for the knobs, the correct knobs for it. So, yeah, that's a good price. And maybe if it doesn't, you know, get bid up, and you know, that might be something you could work with. I don't know. The chassis looks like it's fairly complete. But you'd like things to be the way that they should be, and if the knobs for this aren't available, there you go. You know, how do you find the knobs? Working radio. So let's take a look at that. Sometimes working on eBay means the radio's working, and other times it means, well, it makes some noise. This looks like a fairly decent radio. That's not a bad price for that. Five-tube radio with AM. It's been restored. Oh, this radio's been restored. Tubes, capacitors, and resistors have all been checked and replaced were needed. One letter short. Reception, one letter short. It's very good with stations coming in clearly. So that's one. If I wanted a restored radio, I might bite on for that price. Auctions are a whole another thing. Well, there's another slope front Philco. Used. I cannot get sound out of it. Lights up. In this case, I would pass on this radio because I don't see enough of the radio in the pictures to make an educated guess as to, you know, the condition of it. And at least the seller is honest. I don't know anything about this radio. It was purchased at an auction. Thank you. There you go. There's a Jetsons era radio. There's a ton of them to look at, guys. I mean, I can understand how it can be confusing for someone new to the hobby, you know, how you can pick out what's worthwhile and what's not. Like this one, vintage Philco Ford 1930 to 36 Baby Grand model R91 radio. Well, that was a reproduction made during the Philco Ford days. Any radio that has one of these little plates on it is normally a reproduction. As like as not, you find a cassette player in the side of the thing. Stay away from them unless that's what you want. Now that's a nice looking radio. Restored and working, $81, and might be worth up, you know, to me that would be worth up to maybe $100. I don't really like the shiny finish, but you know, that's just me. It does look like it's been look at the chassis here. Oh, you can't really see it. So I'd be a little bit leery of this because I can't see what the chassis is. You know, what did they do to restore it? You know, some sellers, unless they say in their blurb here, some sellers think restoring is refinishing the cabinet. Looks nice, but radio was recapped, tubes tested, and replaced as needed. New dial light and power cord were installed. This one's probably worth looking at. Shipping cost to lower 48 states is $20. Radio will be securely packed and shipped, insured by FedEx Home Delivery. Now, I would look. This is a case where I probably would look at buying this radio. You know, if you don't like the finish on it, you can always do something about that. But if I were wanting a restored radio, you know, if you don't feel like restoring the radio on your own, that would be something decent to look at. Now, okay, you found a radio that you might be interested in. How do you go about buying this? If you're an experienced eBay buyer, you probably already know that, but we're going on the assumption here that people are new to this, and this is what they want to do. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm gonna cut this off after this set, and then I'm gonna have to make more of these. You know, how to find good prices on these things. What is a good, you know, what do I consider a good price? You know, everyone has their own budget, but if you wanted a restored working radio, I mean, that to me is a pretty good little table model. Now, there's 6 bids on this thing, so should you jump in with 1 day, 9 hours left and make a bid? Not me. What I do is I add it to my watch list. Alright, and then you go up to my eBay watch list. And there's that radio. So now it's in your watch list. You know it's there. You can check it periodically. You can eBay will tell you, you know, when it's getting close to the time of the auction being over, and you can watch it and see how it's progressing. You know, is it being driven up in price? I mean, right now you're looking at $101 for that radio, with $81 and $20 shipping, plus you're going to have to pay more than the $81 to win that. So it kind of depends on you, you know, what you value that radio at. And there are ways to look at that. You can look at, you know, past, you know, similar items, what they sold for. It's very subjective. A radio's price is very subjective. You know, you're not buying something that you can go to Target or you know, Best Buy and buy. This is, you know, it's purely subjective, you know, what a radio is worth. So you look at you know, you now follow this thing down to the bitter end, and what I always do, the way I never place a bid you know, depending on, I guess, how bad you want the radio, you know, you can at the very least, I'd wait until there's like 2 minutes left in the auction to even bid, and then set a, you know, it'll at the same time ask you to set a maximum bid, so you can do that, and if somebody else outbids you, your bid will increase. Well, I don't usually do that. I always figure, you know, unless it's something that I really, really want, I wait until there's, you know, I type in what I want to pay for it, you know, put in your maximum bid at that time, and when there's 10-15 seconds left, I click bid. It's called sniping, and I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off, but to me it just makes sense. Why would you want to drive the price of this radio up by placing a bid right now, and then somebody else is going to say, oh, well, I've been outbid, I'm going to bid again, and pretty soon you're paying way too much for a radio, when, you know, you may sneak in at the just under the wire and get it for a decent price. So don't ever drive up, and eBay would hate me for saying this, but don't ever drive up the prices on these things by bidding with a day or a week or 2 weeks left on a radio. Put it in your watch list and wait, and then at the last possible minute and last possible second, you know, depending on how fast your internet connection is and how, you know, if you trust it or not, wait till there's 5 seconds left and click bid and confirm, and maybe you'll sneak out with a, you know, the radio that you really want. If you're outbid, you know, really, guys, so what? You know, just in this case right now, there are 1,500 Philco items of some sort out here on eBay. You know, multiply that by the number of different manufacturers, and there are a lot of radios out there, so you can find one. I'm going to cut this off here. This has got to be the longest video I've ever made, unless it's a, you know, one of the program videos, but hopefully you got a little bit of something out of this, and we'll make another one. You know, maybe it might be the next video I do, I don't know, or might just start making a little segment in the vintage mashups on this kind of stuff. But there are things that you really need to look for when buying a vintage radio, and you know, I've certainly bought enough of them that I have my criteria, and hopefully it'll help you out. Alright, guys, I was going to play a little music, and maybe I'll do that to take us out, but not long. This is long enough already. So thanks for watching, guys, and more radios and radio stuff on the way. Say hi, QB John.
And if you should survive to 105, look at all you've derived just by being alive. Now here is the best part, you have a head start.